brought her caught. My husband does sit on a city council, and oftentimes we have meetings at the same time. Well, today I got home a little bit late, so I called him and I said, would you please have my red and black corduroy jacket out? He had a burnt orange top and a multicolored jacket. So when I hit the door, I was immediately going for the closet. As I came back downstairs, he's there with my sack lunch, which is my dinner, and he had my car started for me to dash out the door again. So this is how most of my days run. I'll be glad to share this with anybody. I think it's peanut butter and jelly if you're really hungry. Now a little bit about myself and why I'm running for the State Board of Ed. Education has played a major role in my life. I have 4 children and 4 wonderful grandsons who I think are the most handsome, but we can debate that at another time. I actually started out working for the Shawnee Mission School District. I worked for them for approximately 9 years. I worked with ABD, or Autistic Behavior Disorder, the severe autistic behavior disorder, 3 to 5-year-olds. It's an area that I grew to love. Many people would say, why would you work in an area like that? Well, because when the light comes on, or we've given parents the ability to not have to clean all of their counters off and have a little bit of a home life, it is a very rewarding area to work in. I also work for Shawnee Mission in the Tech Center. The year we put 10,000 computers in. They also put bars on our windows while we were working, resolving the 10,000 computers, so that probably we wouldn't leave by the windows as we got calls every day on this new implementation. I worked at Rising Star as the secretary there for 4 years. The 4 years it was the largest elementary in the state of Kansas. We had 865 students at that time. So I know large elementaries are not our desire, but I know we produce great students from the experience that I have. But I was very blessed in the building with the leadership and the teaching staff that we had. I also worked at Hawker Grove in-house suspension and yearbook supervisor, as well as in the library. So I got to know a lot of our students that needed some special attention or liked to spend a little bit more time with me than they did sometimes in the classroom. And then I ended my career at the McEachin Administrative Building. I worked in personnel, hiring aides, paras, secretaries, and safety officers. So it's a wide gamut of which I served in many buildings and met many people across Shawnee Mission. It's been a privilege. As I ended that, at the same time I had been serving on the advisory board. I don't know if all of you remember that Shawnee Mission was the only district in the state of Kansas that was required to have advisory boards, because when we became unified, we had so many groups coming together. They got to have an equal balance of votes. We needed to have advisory boards. That was an elected position, and I served in that position for 13 years. And I learned a lot at that time about listening to people, consensus building, building partnerships, the budget. And I made the commitment as an advisory board member to attend every school board member meeting, as well as my advisory board meeting. So 3 Mondays a month, I was at the McEachin building or wherever those meetings were held. And that was an opportunity to learn from the bottom up. It provided the ability to meet our administrators and to look at curriculum and look at capital outlay and all those things that play a major role in budgeting for schools. The past 16 years, and I'm still doing it at the present time, I've been privileged to serve on the Shawnee Mission School Board. This is my 16th year. During that time, I have learned much more in depth that no one understands school finance at all the time. There are so many moving parts, and there are so many complexities that we could sit and talk for hours, and we would still have questions. We do in Shawnee Mission have one of the best budget departments. I can tell you they have been recognized for their ability for bookkeeping and just making budgets user-friendly or people-friendly or neighborhood-friendly. You can go anytime, and they are glad to describe for you what is available and how things, how they place things in the budget, what we spend, where that money goes. So that's been a true addition and learning experience. I did serve in the legislature for 6 years, 2 years as a Republican, 4 years as a Democrat. I'm not going to say that I'm one way or the other, because I look at myself as a common sense individual. I think we have several positions in the state right now. I don't think we have just 2 parties. I think we have at least 3 Republican parties. We may have 2 Democrat, but right now, 1 is the one that I know. Viewpoints vary in each of those areas, but I think the State Board of Education needs to be an issue about children and learning and curriculum and teacher certification. It is not whether it's a marriage, it's not anything that really is defined by being a Republican or a Democrat. What it is defined by the ability to do what's best for children and to work in that direction. So that's where I come from in this particular position, and that's why I'm running. I also serve as Vice Chair of the Johnson County Mental Health Board. I know the cuts that are being made at the state level, how those impact school districts, our mental health departments across the state, and how those partnership in many ways. Because we have a lot of children in need, and when those services are cut at the Johnson County Mental Health Department, some of those responsibilities fall back on school districts, and right now we are underfunded. So when we look at the overall picture, and I answered this question on my science survey, that I thought science was the basis for all the things that we learn in many ways, whether it's technology, whether it's research, whether it is diagnostic for illnesses, whether it is climate control. There are so many things that are entailed in science, and then they cross into the other curriculums. Math has a huge part in science. English and grammar, just understanding where things came from, have a huge part. Science plays a significant part. So all of those areas, I really think, have some sort of an attachment to the science curriculum. We are now looking at standard, core standards. That issue is going to, and I know that on the questionnaire that we received, they asked how we would approach that individually. One of the things that we all have to remember is that Kansas is a local control state. We want the input of all constituents and our best and brightest in our science area, our teachers and our administrators. And as a team, they can come up with the curriculum that fits within the core standards. So with that, I'm going to leave it open for questions. That's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about my background. I also lived in 25 states before I was in the 7th grade. So I've traveled a lot. I am not, I would say I'm a person that is not judgmental, but I can judge people quickly and what needs to be done, because oftentimes I was not somewhere longer than 3 or 4 months. So you learn to make friends, and you learn to value the education system that's out there and take that with you and utilize everything that we've had as a base. So thank you very much. It'd be a pleasure to visit with you.